session 2 of The God of the Impossible. And yesterday we were looking at the story of how Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. It's a story of what seemed to be impossible in our eyes, but was perfectly possible to Jesus. We see both Mary and Martha thought that Jesus had come too late. And at this point, when he did turn up, they could have easily said, well, it's too late, there's nothing we can do now, so just pray for us and we'll be comforted and show us what the way forward is from here. Or they could have let anger take over and sort of said, why didn't you come? If you had come, he would be okay by now. And that, of course, would have led to a breakdown in friendship when we let anger get in the way. But we saw yesterday that Martha wasn't like that. She was disappointed, yes, that Jesus hadn't come as she expected, but she still believed. Yet even now I know that God will do whatever you ask. Mary and Martha, both faithful believers, they trusted in God, and their trust went beyond the circumstances that they were in. Of course, remember, we know the ending of the story. They did not, yet they still trusted. And this is something we can learn from. Just because we don't see an immediate answer to our issues, to our prayers, doesn't mean God has not heard and is not acting. But to hang on and believe that he will bring about the right resolution, not always easy. It really does require a mature faith. And faith only matures as we experience God in our lives. Lots of little things start to build. We see him doing little things, little answers to prayer, then we see bigger answers. We see him doing things in other people's lives, and so our faith actually grows and comes to something really big. Then we have the faith to say, well, we know he's faithful in the small things, he will be faithful in the big. There will be an answer. It might be different from the one we're hoping for, but he will have the answer. Sometimes God does answer through things that actually go wrong. And we've told quite a few people this story, but we went into the adventure of online streaming when COVID came along. And very early in the piece, we'd set up everything to start streaming the service, and the computer crashed. And frantic prayer, got to get this computer working, Lord. Well, it started to work in a very limited fashion, but it was enough that we could get up the words of the songs. But it never got fully recovered, and we had to buy a new one. And when we bought the new one, we got a new one. It wasn't anything fancy, but it did a lot better than the old computer did. It was a much easier one to use. Next, the program that we were using to project the words crashed. And again, prayer, no, it wasn't fixed. And so we had to go searching for a new program and came across one which is just so much better and so much easier to use, has so many more options. Then our television at home began to play up. You'd turn it on and just be lines all over it for a few minutes, then it'll warm up and you'd get a picture. But over time the lines were getting more and more, and the time was longer and longer before the picture would come up. Now eventually we said, look, this is silly, we just have to replace it. And we did. Took the old one out into the shed, plugged it in, switched it on, worked perfectly. So we now have a perfectly good television down at the church where we can use for all the projection. And it's been going strong for the last 2 years. We could have just got angry when all these things went wrong and said, oh, this streaming business is just all too hard, it's all working against us, let's give up. But God knew what he was doing. Trust in God.
He's able, he will never fail. He is Almighty God. Greater than all we see, greater than all we are. He has done great things. Lift it up, he made it is on our